Hello everybody, welcome to Vesper's Holiday Special 2021. I'm Ramsis.
And I'm the Vespor.
And today we're going to review our 2021 holiday movie pick of the year, and it is...
A Garfield Christmas. So, originally, A Garfield Christmas Special aired on December 21st, 1987, and ran for 24 minutes.
It was broadcast specifically on CBS, and they would often repeat it all the way to the year 2000. The good news is you could pick this up on DVD, as we did for this review, and it's available online if you know where to look.
Let's talk about the characters a little bit before we start talking about the plot of the movie.
Anyone that's seen Garfield and Friends show should be very familiar with these voices because they're pretty much using the same voice cast that they used on the Garfield and Friends show.
The person who voiced Garfield is Lorenzo Music.
He's the one that actually plays Garfield in Garfield and Friends, and he's been in many TV shows. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us, but he was in Rhoda, and he was in Mary Tyler Moore, and he did some other famous spots. And he was also voice actors for another cartoon you guys might be familiar with, Real Ghostbusters, as the voice of Peter Venkman, so you guys should be familiar with that voice actor. And then we have some other voice actors. We have
Greg Berger.
Played Odie on Garfield and Friends, and he did lots of voices on Transformers. You may have heard this character, Grimlock. Yep, he was the voice of Grimlock, so that's pretty cool.
And the voice actor of John Arbuckle is Tom Hughes,
who's just known for being the voice actor of John Arbuckle. He has the perfect voice for it, so yeah, that was cool. And now for this Christmas movie, they actually added a lot of characters you probably didn't see in the cartoon series. John's family, because this is based off of Jim Davis's real-life experiences, so we threw in a lot of family members. John's brother, Doc Boy, played by...
David L. Lander.
And you may recognize his voice. He was actually on a very famous TV show. He was Squiggy on Laverne and Shirley. John's parents in this, the dad is played by...
Pat Harrington.
And you might recognize that name because he was Schneider on One Day at a Time. And then we got John's mom is played by...
Julie Payne.
And then last but definitely not least, we have a grandma in this, Grandma Arbuckle, and there's another famous voice actress. It is...
Pat Carroll.
Yep, and she was Ursula in The Little Mermaid. So yeah, the voice talent was very cool in this, actually. So they had the usual that you would expect. I thought it worked very well for what it was.
Along with this wonderful voice acting talent, there was also 6 songs that were included in this Christmas special.
There's a lot of songs in this, and that's usually expected. Garfield specials and cartoons always have a song thrown in because it adds the message so well. So yeah, it was cool. The songs are actually memorable. We'll talk about them a little bit as we get into the episode here. And I want to mention, they were not afraid to use actual Christmas songs. Had their own versions, but, you know, they would have Oh Christmas Tree, and they would have...
Christmas in Your Heart.
And they had a lot of other famous songs. I think they even had, like, Jingle Bells. You had instrumental versions of songs. So it was great. It was very Christmassy, and we'll talk a little about the songs as we get into the plot. But yeah, this is great. It's a musical. It's only 24 minutes long because they had time for commercials. They would show a half hour on TV, and they would throw commercials, and there you go. So anyone that loves Garfield is going to have fun with this one. It's a very cool take on Christmas.
So let's talk about the entire special here. So what we start with is Garfield having a dream sequence. And the only reason you think something's wrong here is because the art doesn't look right. It eventually alludes to the fact that Garfield is actually having a dream about Christmas in which he receives a great present in the over-the-top manner that only Garfield can have. A present that keeps giving presents.
Right, so Garfield's dream of what Christmas is him getting everything, and that's pretty much it. And that would be expected. He's a selfish cat. That's what Garfield expects. So in his dream, all he has to do is think of it, and he gets it. He's on this machine. They put the little beanie hat on him, and he thinks of it, and it pops out. And that's how they get us into the title sequence. So we'll have our first song, Gimme, 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 and that's pretty much what it's about. He's singing about all the stuff he wants. Presents are popping out of this machine nonstop. You realize it's a dream because it's getting so out of hand. And then, of course, what happens? Garfield is woken up. So there goes his dream.
And then he finds out what he doesn't want to do is John wants to go back home for Christmas. So it's Christmas Eve, and Garfield's just like, I don't want to get out of my warm bed. Why can't they come here? This is horrible. This is terrible. But you know what? Doesn't matter what Garfield wants because the person who makes his food is going to go see his family, so he's coming with it.
But yes, every year it's the same routine. Garfield's woken up. It's Christmas Eve. They got to get in the car and they rush off to the farm because they live in the city, according to the sign as they're driving by here. Say the city. So yeah, they live in.
And it says city limit too.
Right, and then they're driving for a minute and cue our next song, which sets up the situation well. I can't wait till Christmas, and Garfield's saying all the negative things about Christmas while John and Odie are having fun talking about all the great things. So it'll be like, put the lights on the tree, and Garfield's like, electrical engineering, wrap the present, office work. So everything that was supposed to be joyous and fun, Garfield was putting like real life job terms to what all this work meant. It was a fun song, actually. That's one of the better songs of this, I thought. And I don't even get it. You watch this and you wonder why is Garfield really that upset? All because he was taken away from his bed. He seems to be having the best time out of everyone there, so I don't even understand the whole depression. I guess that's just...
But, you know, that is why it is. He's a fat orange tabby. Moving him, making him do stuff. You know, that's unforgivable.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, they have that fun song number, and then they arrive at the farmhouse. And, of course, it's snowing. You can see it's all winter covered, so they're definitely setting up the mood.
This is where they introduce all the characters, by the way. You'll get to see Doc Boy, the father, the mother, and then you'll get to see Grandma Arbuckle.
Yep, voiced by Pat Carroll, as you mentioned, and she's probably the best energetic character out of everyone. Everyone else is pretty basic, but you have Grandma, who is just the fire starter. She's having the most fun here, so yeah, it was a cool character.
And you know you're getting into something when she elbows John in the stomach and goes, "You're getting soft. I do 100 push-ups every day. Hit me in the stomach." And
then she grabs Garfield, and they instantly take to each other. That was the funniest part.
All because Grandma goes and says, let's go get something to eat.
Yeah, right. And then Garfield said, I think we'll get along good.
That's right.
Yeah. This was a little different. Usually Doc Boy, that's John's brother, who shows up in this one too, they don't get along, but they didn't really play up on that. They had a few comments where Doc Boy was mean to John, but that sort of passed quickly. So I guess they had to do that for continuity purposes, but that sort of faded away.
Well, it's also Christmas. You have the mom and dad who just... I'm tired of doing this year after year, but secretly down their hearts they enjoy it. Then you have Grandma, who's just trying to make the best of it and try to remember all the time she had with her dead husband. Because, by the way, this is part of the plot. Because, you know, you can't have Grandma without Grandpa. And they didn't get divorced. He just died.
And they do bring it up. It's kind of like other Christmas specials. It seems like Christmas is that time where you can remember lost loved ones, and it's okay to do that in a kid's program. And I agree. Christmas is that special time where you're supposed to remember those who are no longer with us and what Christmas is all about. So now we know who the family is. They're building things up. I think they start out with the cooking of the stove. They're working on the dinner that they're going to have. And the grandma walks by sneaking a bottle of spices in her hand, and then... Spicy
chili powder. Because, by the way, not all chili powder is red hot. I just want to point that out.
So her daughter-in-law walks in and saying, Grandma, you're not putting stuff in it. It's like, of course not, dearie. And the mother walks off, and then she's like, oh, I won the blue ribbon at the Green County Fair, and I know all about it. And who does she think she is? So she dumps it and walks away. And then what happens? I think Garfield walks
Tries, and it's like, oh, look, it's sausage gravy. He takes it, his face turns red, he shoots out fire. There's also a C-plot going on here with Odie, because he sneaks into the barn and finds some junk. You're like, what's he doing? He's grinning, he's laughing, and, well, throughout the series, he's going to be getting small parts to finish this little bit of junk.
And we won't find out till the end. We'll let you guys know. But yes, Odie is working on a secret project, little by little, part by part. You think that dog is dumb? No, Odie's very smart. Give him credit.
In his own way.
Yes, in an Odie way.
But now that you got dinner being made, it's time to put up the Christmas tree.
Ah, yes, and that's a fun moment of the little special here, too. So now they're working on the tree, and there's a creative moment. You're like, oh, what are they going to do with the tree? It's a gigantic, like, room-filling tree. The thing's so wide, stretches to the ceiling. They got all lights, and then they're all grinning at Garfield. Oh, we forgot something, Garfield, and we have a very important special mission for you.
And that mission is, of course, to put the star on top of the tree, because apparently in the Arbuckle house, their vaulted roof ceilings is about 20 feet high.
Right. Well, suddenly he's brave, and that's very un-Garfield-like. But yeah, suddenly Garfield's like, oh, I got this, whatever. And he does the cat thing of he jumps into the tree, starts to work his way up it. And then he realizes, wow, he's high up, and he's grabbing on the top, plops the star on, falls down, and I think all the decorations rain down on it. A lot of this, we have to remember, is based on the writer of this, Jim Davis's actual experiences. So you know he had a cat, and you know he had a family, and you know he had Christmas on a farm. So things like this must have brought back memories with the cat in the tree, and the decorations, and the family excited. So you know this had to mean a lot. Creative Garfield actually wrote this specific episode.
And so after that, we start with the Christmas songs, which is Oh Christmas Tree. By the way, it starts out with Doc Boy trying to play the piano and sounding horrible. And then Granny takes over. And it's not your normal Oh Christmas Tree.
Right, yeah. Doc Boy, who, quote, had 24 years of piano lessons, and he was horrible. Grandma was over-the-top ridiculous. And there was another song right after this one. When they finished Oh Christmas Tree, they actually went to another song, Christmas in Your Heart. That was when they're all talking about how Christmas is in your heart. I was like, where's Christmas? In your heart. So a lot of cool songs in this.
And this is the part where Grandma actually talks about her deceased husband that we mentioned earlier.
You know, while the song's going on, Garfield leaves the room wondering where Grandma is, and he hops into her lap and she starts stroking, saying, yep, this is just what I needed, a cat on my lap. And then she goes into the story of how, oh, I miss my husband, you know, this was his favorite time of the year, and Christmas is just not the same without him, but that's what it's all about. And, you know, she was just reminiscing about how much she loved him. And
by the way, if you have a heart, you'll have some feels here. If you've lost anybody as around the holiday, you can easily relate to Grandma here.
yeah, so that's why I think you have to do sentimentality in shows like this. It's not really Christmas unless you remember it's about family, it's about love, and of course it's about the religious aspect of the holiday, if that's what part of Christmas you believe in also. But it's also about remember those that are no longer with us, because Christmas was that time of year where family all got together, and they weren't afraid to go there. They went there. They had the grandma talking about her dead husband, and it worked perfectly.
However, we can't have too many feels because this is a Garfield special. So immediately after that, Doc Boy and John and the mom all pester their dad to read the Christmas time story of Binky the Clown Who Saved Christmas. All right, whether it's a Bible or whatnot for Christmas, they had their Christmas tradition. And you know what? Both the brothers acted like what I would if I had another brother and it was time and dad did something silly like that. They acted like they were 5 years old again.
Yeah, it was like, wow, you forgot John and Doc Boy were adults, because they were acting like little boys, and the father was rolling his eyes like, do I have to do this? And the mother's like, yes, you have to do this. They're all, please read it, please read it, please read it. They know this book backwards and forward, and they're acting like they have no idea what's going to happen in this book as he starts to read it.
And by the way, I mean, it's a great transition because they also start playing another song called You Can Never Find an Elf When You Need One, when Garfield finds out Odie's been sneaking out at night.
Finally learning what's Odie been up to. And now Garfield's like, where did Odie go? Odie snuck out while he was resting there. Well, we're now finding out he's building a gift out of random parts. He found a piece of a plunger, he found an old rake, he has a platform, he's building something. Obviously, he's making something nice for Garfield, because that's how Odie is. We'll find out soon what it is, but Garfield sees this and he's all touched, because I think even Garfield realized what he was doing. And then he's in a box and something falls out of it.
That's right. What fell out of the box was letters from over 50 years ago. These are the letters that you'll come to find out in the next scene when they're opening gifts.
What they are, and we'll tell you that in a bit.
It goes tonight. And just like when you're little kids, you want to open the gifts. And pester the dad's like, we want to open gifts. It's 1:30 in the morning. He's like, it's 1:30 in the morning. I don't want to open gifts.
Technically, it's Christmas morning, they remind him, and he's like, oh my god, what do I have to deal with?
Yeah, you know this, and I know this.
Because now we're going to fast forward. So this special is moving along nicely, because don't forget, they would have inserted commercials between all this, so it's a quickly moving special. And now we come back with a commercial break, and here we are, Christmas morning.
Christmas morning, and the dad gives them three options. To either start with chores, eat breakfast, or open presents.
And which choice do you think they said? So, yep, that's what they chose. So, yeah, obviously, I think every kid and every adult in the world will decide, yes, that's the option when you're given the choices.
So, now they're passing out their gifts, and everybody's finished passing out their gifts, or so you think. Then Garfield walks up to Grandma and hands her these letters that are over 50 years old. They're her original love letters from her deceased husband. And it's another scene where if you have the feels, this is it right here. It's very emotional, but not as intense as before. It's a wholesome scene that if you've lost anyone and you find an old letter or anything like that, you can relate to. I mean, this entire special is so relatable that it's unreal. It's almost like somebody had a Christmas day like this. I don't know.
Exactly. This seems so true to life, but you know this must have meant something to Jim Davis as he was writing this. So yeah, it's cool. So, and then there's actually a little joke where she's reading a line that her husband wrote to her, and when I'm going to get back, we're going to, and you know, it's kind of like a sexual innuendo, I guess we'll call it.
Yes, that's exactly what that was.
So that was funny. And then Mom's like, oh, what does it say? And then she responds with,
it is inappropriate for a lady to talk about her romances, my dear.
So yeah, I thought that was funny. That sort of lightened the mood a little bit from the sentimental stuff, ending it with a fun little psych gag like that. I thought that was pretty cool.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah, that's right. We need to pay off on the present to Garfield now. So yep, Odie's all excited. I mean, Odie's bouncing around, he's grinning, comes back with a present for Garfield. So finally we're going to find out what is this thing that Odie's been building for Garfield.
And this is where you find out. It's a back scratcher. Which, you know, if you have pets, you can truly understand how much they love having their back scratched.
Oh, yeah. Garfield loved it. And then Odie, does this funny little dance. He squeezes into the back. Garfield's like, what is that? And Odie's like, I'll show you. And it's pretty much like, yeah, he's dancing around squiggly. He loves it. And Garfield's like, hey, that looks good. And then Garfield loves it. So there you go. It's a fun payoff. And then Garfield does something you would never expect.
He says, it's not about the giving. It's not about the receiving. It's about the love.
I mean, who would have thought Garfield would get all sentimental? But it's Christmas. That's what happens. Christmas makes even the meanest and most grinchiest of cats into a loving cat. So he really appreciated it. And we wanted to note something. Guess what Garfield got Odie, everyone? Guess what he got him?
Nothing!
That's right.
Absolutely nothing!
So yes, Odie made this wonderful gift. Garfield's all like, oh, that's great, that's wonderful. What did Garfield do for Odie? Nothing! So yeah, unfortunately, I guess Garfield didn't learn to give, but I don't think Odie cared. Odie seemed
No, he gave to Grandma, because Grandma
yes,
fiend
he
him.
gave the lettuce to Grandma, and food is what matters.
But no, wait, you're wrong. He did give Odie something. He gave him a hug.
That's true, and for
That's big,
and for Garfield to do it to Odie, that was great. So yes, I think Odie got what he wanted from all of that. So yeah, that was the special pretty much. It ends with another fun song, A Good Old-Fashioned Christmas, and that plays as the whole family singing. They're happy together as they zoom out and pan out from the house, the farmhouse snow-covered. So that was a Garfield Christmas. It's short, it's simple, to the point, but it definitely gets the message. It belongs with all the other famous Christmas specials, you know, Peanuts and Rudolph and all of them. This fits right in. It has that same sentimentality, that same feel. And now it's time to give our thoughts and review on this.
So I'm going to go ahead and say that I love this Christmas special. Back when I first saw it, I love Garfield, used to have all the small books they put out for him. I especially like this because I grew up similar to, I guess, John Arbuckle there. Not necessarily on a farm, but used to having the family come together and just enjoying everything. This hit a lot of feels for me, as I mentioned before. It was not like the greatest, deepest Christmas special, but it hit everything you need to know about Christmas. Family, presents, just being together. I won't lie about the presents, because I always look forward to the presents, even if they were something silly like socks. Overall, out of 5 stars. To me, this is not the greatest Christmas special, but it's one of the earliest ones I can remember loving to this degree, so I'm giving this a good 4.5 stars. To me, he had everything that Christmas was. They were not afraid to go there. They did not care what you think. This was Christmas. And to me, that made it even more special because it was like what you would expect Christmas to be.
I think this was really good. You could see Jim Davis really put a lot of his personal memories and thoughts into this. This seems like this was something that he experienced. Anyone who knows that Jim Davis, the creator of Garfield, you should know that he did grow up in Indiana. He grew up on a farm. He had a brother they called Doc. So this was very true to his probably personal experience. I don't think he had a grandma from what I understand, but he had all the other family members that were always coming together for Christmas on the farm. So you know this was pretty much him retelling a weird version of what he grew up with. They threw the grandma in for sentimentality, and you know what? It worked. You need a character like that. Every Christmas special you think of, it has that moment where it's not all just funny, it's not all just singing, it's not all just present. You have the sentimentality, and the grandma covered that very well in this, and you felt for her. And she started off wacky and crazy, but you realize she's just another loving old woman who wants to be loved by the rest of the family, and she is, and it's a great thing. So how do I view this? I think it's fun. They had some cool songs. Garfield was his usual characterization as always. Odie was Odie. The rest of the family was fun to see. I always like when they show John's family. They don't really show them much in the cartoon series, but in the books, I also grew up with the books, as Vespor mentioned. He grew up with the books, I grew up with the books too. So I was a very big fan of Garfield. So it's fun when you get to see his family in animated form, because they usually don't show John Arbuckle's family in the later series. So it's fun that we got to see it. So, yep, I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I would definitely watch this again. I can see why this was part of the Christmas rotation early on. It is sad they no longer show this, but the world has changed. They don't show many things anymore that they used to. So I'm going to give it 4 stars. I think it's great. I didn't have the same memories as the Vespor growing up with this. I'm a big Garfield fan, and this was a perfect Garfield special, yeah. So lots of fun. Definitely check it out, folks. You'll love it.
So this wraps up this year's Vesper's holiday special. So we hope you enjoyed this. And we actually encourage you to find it and watch it yourself. It is a wonderful little Christmas story that leaves you feeling good at the end.
So from all of us here at Vesper's Retro Review, that's me, Ramsis, and the Vespor sitting right next to me here, we want to wish you and yours a very happy holidays, whatever holiday you celebrate. We want you to enjoy it, have fun with it, watch specials like this, remember the good things of life, and yeah, we'll see you next year, everybody. Have a very happy holiday 2021. Thanks for joining us here on Vesper's Retro Reviews. Much more to come, and we'll do more holiday stuff next year too. And of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and
ring that bell.
Ho ho ho! See you next time, everybody.
Bye bye, everybody.